Welcome to the World Resources webinar on cryptography. I am your chair for the workshop, Dr. Debra Ferdinand James, from the University of the West Indies, Jamaica campus. And it's my pleasure to be here with you. I welcome you all. This workshop is very timely as we shift more into a digital economy and live and work in a digital environment. Cryptographics is an emerging field. It involves creating and collecting unique digital artworks or collectibles using blockchain technology, which is often referred to as non-fungible tokens or NFTs. At the core of cryptographics is the concept of NFTs or non-fungible tokens, which are cryptographic tokens representing ownership and provenance of digital or physical assets. These NFTs are indivisible and cannot be replicated, making them ideal for representing one-of-a-kind digital art pieces. Cryptographic techniques secure the ownership and authenticity of these digital assets, making it practically impossible to counterfeit or steal them. The future of cryptographics is likely to be shaped by a combination of technological advancements, shifts in the art and entertainment industries, regulatory developments, and evolving consumer preferences. Today we have 4 esteemed presenters, all very knowledgeable in the field of IT and cryptography, who will enlighten us further on the advancements made in the field, the development and the advancements that are currently going on in the field, so we can have a better understanding of the uses of cryptography, how it will benefit us as we move forward into our digital environment and digital economy. Our first presenter is Assistant Professor Abirami. She is from Bannari, Amman Institute of Technology, and her professional experience is in engineering. She holds bachelor's and master's degrees in information technology and has presented at national and international conferences in her specialization, to include comparative analysis of machine learning algorithms and digital complaint based on mobile application using Flutter, coupled with guest lectures on cybersecurity and supporting skills training. I warmly welcome Professor Abirami to make her presentation on an introduction to cryptography. She will lay the foundation for us for the other presentations. Over to you, Professor
Thank you, ma'am.
Abirami.
Thank you so much for your nice introduction. Very good afternoon from India. First of all, I'll take this opportunity to thank Dr. Krishnan sir for making me a part of this World Resource webinar on cyber cryptography. Okay, without any delay, let me start sharing my screen and we can start with the session. So my screen is visible.
It's coming up.
Yeah. So the topic that I am going to take is Introduction to Cryptography. So let us begin with the contents related to cryptography. So these are the various contents I'm going to cover up. That is, what is cryptography, why we need cryptography, and what are the various types of cryptography, and the basic applications of cryptography. Okay. So first of all and foremost let us start with what exactly cryptography is. We can divide this particular word into two different parts. That is, crypt means hidden and graphy means writing. So basically,
Prof. Abirami, yeah, we are not seeing your screen. Sorry, sorry to interrupt, but we're not seeing your screen.
One second.
Yeah.
me stop sharing and share it again.
Okay. And I'll just put my hand up when we get to the 5-minute mark before you end. I'll put my hand up to show that you have 5 more minutes.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Hopefully now it's visible.
It's saying that you've started screen sharing.
Okay, okay, okay. Yeah, when the screen is visible, just intimate me so that I can have a clue on it.
Yes, I will.
Yeah. Still now it's not visible, ma'am?
No, it's not. Professor Krishna, Dr. Krishnan, could you,
No,
do you have a copy of her PowerPoint?
I have to take it up from another system. Okay, let me check. Let me check if I could do it also.
Yeah, and you could just convert it to a PDF and then you
Yeah, in
can,
case this is delaying.
yeah. In the meantime, we're still waiting for it to come up, but it seems as if there's some delay in the connection because it has started, but apparently maybe the size of the file, it's taking a little while.
Let me see in my screen how it is.
Okay, Professor Abirami, could I ask you in the meantime, while we're waiting for it to come up, if you could convert your PowerPoint to a PDF and then try sharing the PDF. It probably will be smaller and
Okay.
it will take less time.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, actually I've converted again, but still I don't think so it is visible to you all. Like, can anyone confirm that whether it is visible or not?
No.
It's no, it's not.
Still
So
not?
you have to stop sharing because this screen you're sharing with the PowerPoint. So stop sharing and then share the PDF and let's see if it would work.
Actually, I was sharing the entire screen, so it won't be a problem in that case actually.
Okay, we see that you have started sharing and hopefully the PDF will come up. Are you using the same system that you shared with us when you came on earlier, Dr.
Yeah,
Abirami?
yeah.
Okay, it's strange that it's taking this long to.
One second. Let me come out of the meeting and I'll join back again.
Okay, sure.
Wait for a minute.
Hold on. Let me check your thing and I'll share it. One second.
Okay, so you'll have to stop sharing, yeah, for Dr. Krishnan to share.
Sir, that will be better like if I leave and join back again, since
Okay.
as so it won't get synchronized if like you are sharing and I'm speaking. Like,
Okay. No
let
issues.
me try first. Yeah.
We'll delay, wait for some time. No issues.
Yes, thank you.
This is the only hitch we have when we connect everything through internet. The bandwidth is more important and connectivity is important.
Yes, that's quite true.
We have issues like this even in our projects, real-time projects. We are currently doing a project with Godrej on computer vision and deep learning. Many of the defect which is being shared takes time.
Yes, because of the
of this internet.
yes, yes. We do have similar issues here. So it's not unique to India. Yes, Jamaica has very high mountains, so that the signals sometimes are blocked by the mountains, and some persons are unable to have internet connection because of that, especially if they live in rural areas where the mountains are higher. Yeah.
It has come. She has come.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Now it's visible, ma'am?
Yes, it is visible. Yes.
Okay,
you may proceed. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Yeah. So let's begin with the content related to cryptography. So these are the contents we are basically going to browse through. So what is cryptography? Why we need cryptography? And what are the various basic types of cryptography and the basic applications of cryptography? Okay, so let's begin with the definition of cryptography. So crypt means hidden and graphy means writing. So we are going to hide something, we are going to write. Okay, so we are going to convert our original content into some format, some hidden format that we call as a ciphertext. And again, changing back that ciphertext, that is a hidden content, to the original content, so that two people can communicate without the third party knowing the message what you're going to convey. So that is the basic concept of cryptography. And so before we understand the different types and why we are going for cryptography, let us understand the basic security goals of data transmission. So there are three different basic goals when we transfer a data or for information security. First and the foremost thing is confidentiality. Second is integrity, and third is availability. So what this confidentiality is? So confidentially, two people needs to communicate with each other. So that is what confidentiality is about. So the third person should not able to understand what two people are going to share with each other. So that's what confidentiality is. So basically, for enhancing or for enabling confidentiality, we are going for the method of cryptography. And integrity means like we need to check. I have sent the data to a receiver, and the receiver should confirm that is that the same content that the sender has been sent has been received, or it's somehow it is a modified content. So for that we'll go for the concept of integrity. So basically, for the purpose of integrity, we'll go for the method of hashing. Okay, and the third one is availability. So suppose, for example, we have some set of servers and we have some set of clients. Of course, when a client is providing requesting for something, the server should be always available to provide the service, right? So these are the basic goals we have to cover up when we go with information security. So that is what the confidentiality is, integrity and availability. So to ensure confidentiality, we are going to use the concept of cryptography. So why we need cryptography over here? So there is a feasibility when two people are going to communicate with each other. There might be a third person who try to read the content what you are conveying between each other. Okay, so to if suppose, for example, if it is a normal communication, it doesn't matter, like it's not going to affect the sender and the receiver if they are if party is listening to the message that has been conveyed. Okay, but suppose, for example, if it is a business oriented communication that has been happening between a sender and the receiver, and the sensitive information that has been captured by the third person, of course it's going to affect the business. Of course it is somehow sensitive and the third party are not supposed to read that particular content that has been sent by the sender and the receiver. So there comes the part of cryptography, and we'll use cryptography. Okay, so how cryptography basically works? So of course we'll be having a message, and we need to convey that message to a receiver. Suppose for example A is sending a message to B, and B needs to read that particular message, and our intention is that while sending this particular message from A to B, in between it might travel any other network, it might go from the insecure network also. So anyone, if they are trying to capture that particular content, they can able to capture the message and they can read the content, right? So what we are going to do here is that we are going to convey this particular message that has been sent from A. We'll convert that into some format with a secret key to change that particular content to some other format that we call as a key. And in the network, in the insecure channel or the insecure network, this particular message, that is converted message or the hidden message that has been converted into some format, will be transmitted. And at the receiver end, with the help of the key, the receiver again convert that particular message to some other format, that is the original format, and read the content. So this is how the cryptography works. Okay, so these are the various types of cryptography we have. So basically we are dividing the cryptography into two different section, that is symmetric key cryptography and asymmetric key cryptography. And again, symmetric key cryptography is again divided into classical cryptography and modern cryptography. And again, this classical cryptography is divided into transposition cryptography and substitution cryptography. And the modern cryptography is again divided into stream cipher and block cipher. So we'll see one by one in detail. Okay, so here comes the symmetric key cryptography. So basically what does it means is that we have an original sender and a receiver. So sender will be having an original message. Of course we are going to transfer this particular message in a hidden format, that is, in somehow it has been converted into some other format. And at the receiver end, again we'll convert back this particular hidden message into the original message to read that specific content. So in this case of symmetric key cryptography, what basically we are going to do here is that for the encryption process, that is the original message we need to convert, that is the plain text, we need to convert that into cipher text. For that we are going to use a key, and the same key will be utilized after the receiver receives a message in the form of the cipher text, and again the cipher text will be converted into the original plain text with the help of the same key. So in case of symmetric key cryptography, the encryption and the decryption process will be done with the help of a single key at the sender side and the receiver side, that we call as symmetric key cryptography. So we have seen some different set of symmetric key cryptography. The first one is the transposition cipher. So in case of transposition cipher, so from the name itself you can guess, we are the position of the content has been transferred to some other position, so that the original message can be converted into the format that we call as a cipher text. So in this example, so what the sender has done here is that he has made a matrix with the 6 columns, and he has returned the plain text. So what is the plain text we have here is meet me after party. So we have the plain text, that is meet me after party, that is the plain text. So we are going to write it down into the column format. So we have 6 basic columns we have. So we have returned the content of the plain text into a column format. And now how we are going to convert that into the cipher text over here is that we are going to change the column. Okay, so in this case, instead of column 1, we have returned the content of column 4, and instead of column 2, we have not changed the column 2 content, we have kept it as it is. And in case of your column 3, we have returned the content of column 1, and in case of the column 4, we have returned the content of column 6, and in case of column 5, we have returned the column of column 3, and in case of the last column, we have returned the content of column 5. So in this way, we have changed the column of the plain text, and then we are converting that content into the ciphertext. So now how we are going to write the ciphertext here is that TEMEEMEFAPTRYRAT. Now this will become the ciphertext. So here, in case of the transposition cipher, what we have done here is that we have returned the original message into column format, and we have transpositioned the column so that the content will be converted from plain text to the ciphertext. Okay. So what is the key we'll be utilizing here is that, so instead of column 1, we have written column 4. Instead of column 2, we have written column 2. Instead of column 3, we have written column 1. And instead of column 4, we have written column 6. Instead of column 5, we have written column 3. And instead of column 6, we have written column 5. So in this way, the plain text has been converted into ciphertext in case of transposition cipher. Okay. So the next one is substitution cipher. So instead of one character, we are going to substitute some other character, so that in that way we are going to convert your plain text to the ciphertext. So in this case of example, we are going to have a shifting of 13. So we are going to shift our alphabet to the shift of 13, means like, so A will be substituted, N will be substituted for A, as we have shifted A with a key of 13. So 13 is the original position of in the alphabet. Okay. So instead of A, we are going to write that as N. Instead of B, we are going to replace that with O. Instead of C, we are going to replace that with P. Instead of D, we are going to replace that with Q. Instead of E, by R, F by S, G by T, H by U, I by V, J by W, K by X, L by Y, and M by Z. So in this way, we are going to substitute for one character will be substituted for some other character, and we'll convert the plain text to the ciphertext. So see here, this is what the plain text that has been that is supposed to be sent from the sender side of the receiver is just a hello message. Instead of H, as it is being shifted by 13, so instead of H, what is the character that we are going to substitute is that U. So we have substituted for H, we have substituted U, and for E, we have substituted that is R, and for L, we are going to substitute the character that is Y, and again we have an L, we are going to substitute Y, and for O, we are going to substitute that is B. So in this way, we are performing the substitution cipher, and we have converted the plain text to the ciphertext. So at the receiver end, the reverse process will be done to get the plain text. Okay. So that is what the substitution cipher is about. The next one is about the stream cipher. So in case of the stream cipher, so we are going to have a encryption algorithm, and we'll be having a key for converting your plain text to the ciphertext. Okay. So we are going to take 1 byte of the input plain text. We are going to, with the help of this particular key, we are going to use an encryption algorithm, and we are going to encrypt that particular content and convert that to the ciphertext. Take the next byte of the plain text, again do the same process. So in this way, a stream of content will be taken byte by byte and converting that particular plain text to the ciphertext. So this is what the stream cipher is about. So next one is the block cipher. So in case of the block cipher, first of all, let us understand the difference between the stream cipher and the block cipher. So in case of the stream cipher, stream of bytes will be taken, and for each and every byte of the content, we are going to apply the encryption algorithm. With the help of the key, we are going to encrypt that particular content into a ciphertext. Okay. So in case of the block cipher, the block of bytes will be accommodated together, And with an encryption algorithm, a block of content will be converted from the plain text to the ciphertext. So from the original message, we are going to take a block of content and enable with the help of this particular key and the encryption algorithm, we are going to convert that particular block of content into a block of ciphertext. And again, the next block of content will be taken as an input. Again, the same process will be enabled to get the next set of ciphertext. And the receiver end, again, the reverse process will be done to get the original message. So that makes the difference between the stream cipher and the block cipher. Okay. Okay. So still now whatever we have seen is nothing but a symmetric key cryptography. Means in case of the sender and the receiver, in case of the encryption process and for the decryption process, we are going to use the same key. With the help of the same key, the encryption process will be done and the decryption process will be done. Means like the plain text will be converted to the ciphertext with the help of the same key, and again the ciphertext will be converted to the plain text with the help of the same key. So that is what symmetric key cryptography is. So in case of asymmetric key cryptography, what we're going to do here is that the sender is going to use a public key and receiver is going to use a key that we call as a private key. So the sender, with the help of or the public key, is going to convert the plain text into a ciphertext, and the ciphertext will be converted or decrypted to the plain text with the help of the intended key for that corresponding receiver. So that we call as a private key. Okay. So with the help of the public key, the plain text will be converted into a ciphertext in case of the sender side. But in case of the receiver end, what we are going to do here is that we are going to take the cipher content, and with the help of the private key that is intended only, the key that has been known only to this particular intended receiver, with the help of that particular private key, he is going to convert the ciphertext to the plain text. Okay. So there comes asymmetric key cryptography is. So in case of symmetric key, the same key will be utilized in the sender side and the receiver side. In case of the asymmetric cryptography, two different keys we are going to utilize for the encryption and the decryption process. So that's what we call this as an asymmetric key cryptography. Okay. Now we'll see some of the applications of cryptography. Okay. So wherever the data transmission has to be implemented, of course, we have to employ cryptography, as we have to hide the content, whatever we are transmitting from the sender side to the receiver. The foremost application we can take ahead is the WhatsApp application. So in WhatsApp, of course, everyone will get a message that is end-to-end encryption has been happening. Means like the one when sender has been sending a data, with help of some encryption method, it's going to convert that into a ciphertext, and the content that has been encrypted will be transmitted, and when the receiver end, of course, it is decrypted to get the original message. So everywhere where the data transmissions, of course, when we are sending an email, of course, the data to be encrypted and to be transmitted. And in blockchain technology, of course, we are employing cryptography, and any private chats, wherever it is feasible, we are employing cryptography. And in online banking, of course, that is very much sensitive. When we are sending a data that is transaction type of content has been transmitted between a sender and the bank server, of course, the data has to be encrypted, else any other crime can happen with the help of the online banking and all. Okay. So all type of data transmission, of course, we have to employ cryptography to enable the confidentiality of the data transmission. Okay. So with this, I'm closing my session. So if anyone is having any query, you can ask.
Thank you so much for that instructive introduction to cryptography. You have certainly helped us to understand the importance of achieving the security goals of confidentiality, integrity, and availability using cryptography. And I now open the floor for a few questions. You may type it in the chat, or you may raise your hand and I will allow you to speak.
I think there's no questions, Dr. Debra.
Okay, I would just ask one question to Dr.
Yes,
Abirami.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
In the event that there's a breach somewhere along the line of confidentiality,
Pardon, ma'am.
and
Can you repeat?
yeah, if there is a leak of information for some reason, the cryptography fails. So is it that it's foolproof that once you put it in train, it will always work. There's no failure with cryptography. My concern is if there's a failure of what we've done to achieve confidentiality, what do we do then?
Okay, means like if that key has
Yeah,
been known to some third party, that they can also view the content, right?
yeah,
In the previous cases and all, like we basically used that symmetric key encryption method. So in that case, of course, there is a feasibility that is data breaches can takes place, and of course, if anyone is knowing the key, of course, they can able to decrypt the content and read the content. But in case of asymmetric key cryptography, of course, even the key has been generated privately with some process. So of course, without knowing the process, like only the intended person will be having the particular private key.
okay, yes.
So of course, there is won't be any feasibility of tracking the content.
Okay, so we do have that assurance. So thanks for that.
Thank
Okay,
you, ma'am. Thank you.
you're welcome. So we'll now have
Someone
our,
has asked like what programming language is used in cryptography. See, it
okay,
depends upon the programmer. Like any kind. Of course, initially we have used even the C program to implement any of the cryptographic algorithms, and in meanwhile we had Java programming to execute the programs that has been related to cryptography. And of course, now everywhere Python has been utilized for implementing. See, in Python, even the inbuilt, many of the libraries are available inbuilt. So you can easily code cryptography using Python actually.
thank you, Dr. Abirami, for that
Thank you, ma'am.
comprehensive,
Thank you so much
yes,
for giving
that's,
me this opportunity.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice presentation, Dr. Abirami.
yes,
Thank you, ma'am.
very much,
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
yes. Our second presenter is Professor Sharvari Tamane, and she's affiliated with the Department of Information Technology at the College of Engineering, Mahatma Gandhi Mission University in India. Professor Tamane is an expert in she has years of experience in her field, and she's widely published, and also she has presented at several international conferences to include her specialization in artificial intelligence, natural language processing, and now cryptography. It is my great pleasure to invite Professor Tamane to make her presentation or her advanced presentation on symmetric key cryptography. Over to you, Professor Tamane.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Is my screen visible?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you so much, and good afternoon, everyone. So first of all, I would like to thank to the organizing team, Dr. Krishnan Umachandran, for giving me the opportunity to share the information with all the participants. So my topic for presentation is symmetric key cryptography. So some of the concepts Madam has already shared, but still I'll just go through it. What is cryptography? I'll just tell you the definition. Then what is symmetric encryption, applications of symmetric key cryptography. Then what is symmetric key cryptography? Why it is called private key cryptography. Then what are the types of ciphers being used, and what are the advantages of using symmetric key cryptography. So as all of we know that the cryptography is the basic science of encrypting and decrypting data to prevent unauthorized access. Encryption is the process of making the plain text unreadable to any third party which generates the ciphertext. And decryption is the process of reversing the encrypted text to its original readable format, which we are calling as a plain text. And as Madam has also mentioned, there are two different types of encryption in cryptography, which is symmetric encryption and asymmetric encryption. So we'll just discuss on what is symmetric encryption. So this is actually, we can say that the symmetric encryption algorithm relies on a single key for encryption and decryption of information. Both the sender and receiver of the message, they need to have a pre-shared secret key that they will use to convert the plain text into ciphertext and vice versa. And as shown in the figure here, the key which is being used for encrypting the original message is decrypting the ciphertext. And the key must be kept private and be known only to the sender and to the receiver. For example, if Paul wants to send a simple message to Jane, they need to have a single encryption key that both of them must keep secret to prevent snooping by malicious actors. And if the message is, I am ready, if the Paul wants to send, it is converted to ciphertext using a specific substitution cipher by Paul, and Jane must be aware of substitution shift to decrypt the ciphertext once it reaches to her. So to sum it up, the entire process will include various steps. First step can be Paul and Jane decide on a common key to be used. Next step can be Paul sends the secret encryption key to Jane or vice versa. Next step can be Paul uses the private key to encrypt the original message. Next, the Paul sends the encrypted message to Jane. And next, Jane uses the secret key to decrypt the message that was already present with her. And following all this process, Paul and Jane communicate privately without the fear of anyone on the route. So since only both of them have the secret key, which needs to be, they need to use to encrypt or decrypt the message. So no third party who can intercept the encrypted message can break into it. So this is there. So we are not going in detail about these algorithms because Madam has already told these details. We'll just see the applications of symmetric cryptography. One of the most important application is data encryption, where we again go into detail about the file encryption or the disk encryption. For file encryption, symmetric key cryptography is widely used to encrypt files and folders. Software applications often use algorithms like AES, Advanced Encryption Standard, to secure sensitive data. And in case of disk encryption, entire storage devices such as hard drives or USB drives, they can also be encrypted using the symmetric key algorithms. And this ensures that if the device is lost or stolen, the data remains secure. So this can be a very important application for symmetric cryptography. Next is communication encryption, where we can use the secure socket layers and transport layer security. So this symmetric key cryptography is often used in conjunction with asymmetric key cryptography in protocols like this SSL and TLS to secure communication over the internet. Symmetric keys are used for encrypting the data and asymmetric keys are used for secure key exchange. Next is virtual private networks, that is VPNs. VPNs they use the symmetric key cryptography to encrypt the data transmitted between user's device and the VPN server. This ensures the communication is secure and private. Next is wireless security. Symmetric key cryptography is used in Wi-Fi networks also to secure data transmission. WPA, that is Wi-Fi protected access, and WPA2 are the examples which are using the symmetric key cryptography for encryption. Next is database encryption. Databases often contain sensitive information, and symmetric key cryptography can be employed to encrypt the stored data. So this adds the additional layer of security to prevent from unauthorized access. Next is secure messaging. So many messaging applications use symmetric key cryptography to encrypt messages between the users. The same key is used to encrypt and decrypt the message, ensuring the confidentiality. We also use the secure shell, that is SSH. This uses the symmetric key cryptography for encrypting data during remote access to a server. It provides a secure alternative to protocols like Telnet. And we can also go for tokenization in secure messaging. Like symmetric key cryptography is sometimes used in tokenization systems where sensitive data is replaced with a non-sensitive equivalent or tokens. The tokenization process often involves encryption with a symmetric key. Last application I'm mentioning here is the authentication protocol. Symmetric key cryptography is used in some authentication protocols. For example, HMAC, hash-based message authentication code, which uses a symmetric key and a cryptographic hash function to verify the integrity and authenticity of a message. So it is important here that while we use the symmetric key cryptography, it is efficient. This cryptography is efficient for bulk data encryption. And the challenge here is we can securely exchange and manage the secret keys. So if you are able to manage that, then these are the best options for using the symmetric key cryptography. Next point is why is the symmetric key cryptography called a private key cryptography? This is not the typically referred to as private key cryptography because the term this is more commonly associated with asymmetric key cryptography, which is also known as public key cryptography. So to clarify this, we can say that in case of symmetric key cryptography, the same key is used for both encryption and decryption. That is, this key must be kept private between the communicating parties because there is a need for for secrecy and confidentiality of the key. Symmetric key cryptography is often referred to as secret key cryptography or simply just the private key cryptography. In case of asymmetric key, there are two keys, public and private. The public key is widely shared and can be freely distributed, while the private key is kept secret. The messages which are encrypted with the public key can only be decrypted with the corresponding private key and vice versa. And the system is often referred to as public key cryptography. Next is, as Madam has also mentioned, different types of ciphers. So I'll here mention a few more, which comes under this symmetric key cryptography. Ciphers are the algorithms used for encryption and decryption in cryptography. So there are several types of ciphers, each with its own characteristics and applications. So the common types are substitution ciphers, which includes Caesar cipher and monoalphabetic cipher. In case of Caesar cipher, this is a very simple substitution cipher where each letter in the plain text is shifted a certain number of places down or up the alphabet, which Madam has explained very nicely. Next is monoalphabetic cipher, which is again the part of substitution cipher. Each letter in the plain text is replaced by another letter, maintaining a one-to-one correspondence throughout the message. So that can also be used as a substitution cipher. Next is transposition ciphers, where we have the rail fence cipher, in which the characters of the plain text are written out in rows, and the ciphertext is created by reading the text from the rows, as the characters of the plain text are written out in rows. Next is columnar transposition, where the text is written out in rows of a fixed length and the ciphertext is read out again by the columns. So this is the difference between the rail fence and the columnar transposition. Next is block ciphers, where we have DES and AES, that is data encryption standards and advanced encrypted encryption standard. In DS, it is considered for insecure for modern applications, but it was one of the earliest standardized block ciphers. And in case of AES, it is widely used symmetric encryption algorithm adopted as a standard by the US government. Next is stream ciphers, where we have different types like RC4, A51 or A52, then public key, RSA, then elliptic curve cryptography. Like this, we are having different types. In RC4, a popular stream cipher that was widely used, but its use has diminished due to vulnerabilities. And in case of A5 and 1 and 2, stream ciphers used in the GSM cellular standard. Then in RSA, it is named after its inventor, that is Ron Rivest, Adi Shamir and Leonard Adleman. RSA is widely used for secure data transmission. And ECC, that is elliptic curve cryptography, it is based on the mathematics of elliptic curves. It is also used for key exchange and digital signatures. So these are the different types of stream ciphers. Next is hash functions, where the MD5 message digest algorithm 5 is used, which produces a 128-bit hash value and was widely used, but it is now considered insecure due to its vulnerabilities. It also has, this hash function also has the SHA-256, that is secure hash algorithm, which is a part of SHA-2 family. It is widely used for secure hash functions. Then we also have the BC crypt, then SCrypt and the Argon2. These are designed to computationally intensive and slow making them, because it is suitable for the securely hashing passwords. Next is homographic encryption. It is fully homographic encryption, that is FHE, which allows the computations on encrypted data without decrypting it first, and which is providing a high level of privacy. Then we have the chaos-based ciphers, where we have the type as Lorentz cipher, which is a historical example that used chaotic dynamics during the World War II. Next is post-quantum cryptography. So lattice-based cryptography, code-based cryptography. As quantum computers advance, these are the types of cryptographic algorithms considered to be resistant to the quantum attacks. So there are just a few examples, and these are the just few examples we can say, and the field of cryptography is very dynamic. So with ongoing research to develop new algorithms and standards, especially in response to emerging threats and advances in technology, these are the few. Next is, we have the advantages of using symmetric key cryptography, which is the last part of my presentation. So the symmetric key cryptography offers several advantages, making it a widely used and efficient approach for various applications. Some advantages are, as it is mentioned on the slide, efficiency, where the symmetric key algorithms are generally faster in terms of encryption and decryption compared to their asymmetric counterparts. So this efficiency is crucial for when we have the bulk data encryption and real-time communications. So here we are calculating, or we can compute the speed of the computations which is required for the algorithms. Then the second advantage is the simplicity. Symmetric key algorithms are often simpler to implement and understand compared to asymmetric key algorithms. So this simplicity contributes to faster execution and easier maintenance. Next is resource efficiency. It has the less computational overhead. These algorithms typically involve less computational overhead, making them suitable for resource constrained devices and systems with limited processing power. Next is key management. The managing keys in this cryptography is generally more straightforward than the other methods. So there is only one key to manage for each pair of communicating entities, as we are using the private key. Next is, it is secure for bulk data. This is well suited for encrypting large volumes of data efficiently, and it is very commonly used for securing files, storage devices, and network communications. Next is stream cipher. Stream cipher capability. So some symmetric key algorithms, such as those used in stream ciphers, allows for a continuous stream of data to be encrypted or decrypted, which is useful for real-time communication. Next is parallel processing. Algorithms which we are using in symmetric key are often lend themselves well to parallel processing, which can further enhance their speed and efficiency. These algorithms have the low computational complexity because it contributes to low latency, making them suitable for applications where responsiveness is crucial, such as real-time communication and financial transactions. Next is no key exchange overhead. There is no need for the complex key exchange mechanisms required in asymmetric key cryptography. So both the parties can use same key for encryption and decryption. And the last one is the compatibility. These algorithms are often standardized facilitating interoperability between the different systems and devices. So while we use this symmetric key cryptography with these advantages, so it's also very important to note that the key distribution problem remains a challenge, because secretly exchanging and managing the secret keys between communicating parties requires additional measures such as secure key distribution protocols or the use of hybrid crypto systems combining symmetric and asymmetric cryptography. So the conclusion I would like to say, symmetric key encryption is essential for many day-to-day activities on the internet, ranging from safe online browsing to banking applications. And therefore, whenever we go for any website or organization stores for personal information regarding their users or the company itself, it is protected using these symmetric encryption algorithms. And this is done to prevent all kinds of snooping from either outside hackers or disgruntled employees which are inside the organization, and so that we can save the information. So that's it from my side. Thank you so much again. If you have any questions, please ask.
Thank you, Professor Tamane, for giving us a deeper understanding of the applications for the use of symmetric key cryptography. And I think what stood out was your emphasis on the importance of data encryption management, so that we have a better appreciation of the importance of that role in symmetric key cryptography. We now invite questions from the floor. You can type in the chat or you can raise your hand and I will allow you to speak. And we have one comment from Owen Harris, and he is very appreciative, Dr. Tamane, of the deep explanations and examples you gave in your presentation to support the topic. So thank you again for that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, I see we have no questions. So
I have one small doubt.
Yes,
sure,
sir.
go ahead.
Dr. Tamane, it's a nice explanation. If any project comes on cryptography, will you or your organization be interested in taking it up?
Yes, sir. Yes, why not?
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Because we have learned a lot. Again, putting it into action would be the beneficial part.
Yeah, surely, sir, surely. You can please share it. So if possible, we'll go through it first. And then definitely, if possible, we can I can ask my faculty members or the students also, and even I can also contribute if possible. So no problem, sir.
Thank you. Right.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Tamane. Please excuse my pronunciation of your last name. And thank you, Dr. Krishnan, for giving me the correct pronunciation.
No issues.
Yes. So we move to our next presenter, Professor Noor. And Professor Noor, I'm sorry, not Professor Noor, Professor Pankaj. Are you there, Professor Pankaj?
Yes.
Okay. So you can upload your PowerPoint while I introduce you.
Yes, ma'am, sure.
Right. Professor Pankaj is currently a professor and the deputy head of the Department of Computer Science and Engineering at the Swami Keshvanand Institute of Technology in Jaipur, India. He has more than 18 years experience in teaching in his field, and he has been appointed a PhD He is a PhD research supervisor within the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, and that's SKIT. He has published 22 patents and granted 6 patents at Intellectual Property India, Office of the Controller of General Patents, Design and Trademarks. It is my honor to warmly welcome Professor Pankaj to make his presentation on network security and cryptographic checksums. Sounds very technical, so we're looking forward to it, Dr. Pankaj.
Thank you. So today's my topic is network security and cryptographic checksums. So we will discuss for these classical cryptography, where Caesar cipher, beginner cipher, DES, then public key cryptography, Diffie-Hellman, RSA, and cryptographic checksums, HMAC. So first, crypto system. So there is an quintuple in crypto system where EDMKC, where E stands for the set of encryption functions, E where M cross K tends C. So M is the set of plain text and K is the set of keys and C is the set of ciphertext. And D is the set of encryption functions where D is such that C cross K tends to M. So C is the set of ciphertext, K is the set of keys, and M is the set of plain text. So while encryption, we convert the text in ciphertext, and then in decryption, we convert the ciphertext in the plain text. Now, Caesar cipher example, we see M is the sequence of letters, K is where I is an integer, and 0 is less than equal to I is less than equal to 25. And suppose EK, where K belongs K, and for all letters M, so this EKM equals M plus K mod 26. And for D, decryption, DK, where K belongs K for all letters C, so DKC equal to 26 plus C minus K mod 26, and C equal to M. So this is an example of Caesar cipher. So what are the attacks? So opponent whose goal is to break crypto system is the adversary. So assume adversary knows algorithm used but not key. So there are 3 types of attacks mainly: ciphertext and non-plain text and chosen plain text. So in ciphertext only, the adversary has only ciphertext and goal is to find plain text and possible key. And non-plain text, where an adversary has ciphertext where corresponding plain text is there and goal is to find the key. And in chosen plain text, the adversary may supply plain text and obtain corresponding ciphertext and goal is to find key. So the basic of stack attacks basis of attacks are mathematical attacks and statistical attacks. So mathematical attacks based on the analysis of underlying mathematics. So some type of mathematics is in there in the mathematical attacks, and the statistical attacks where the make assumptions but about the distribution of letters, pair of letters like diagrams, or triplets of letters like trigrams, and so on. So these are the called models of the language. So first, examine the ciphertext, correlate the properties with the assumptions. So in classical cryptography, the sender receiver share common key. So keys may be the same or trivial to derive from one another, and sometimes called it is symmetric cryptography. So there are 2 basic types: transposition ciphers and substitution ciphers. So combinations are called product ciphers. So in transposition cipher, rearrange the letters in plain text to produce ciphertext. For example, rail fence cipher. So plain text is suppose hello world. So rearranges HLOOLELWRD. So ciphertext is HLOOLELWRD. So this is the transposition cipher, and attacking the cipher in such that anagramming. So if 1 gram frequency matches English frequencies but other n gram frequencies do not, so probably transposition. So we rearrange letters to form n-grams with highest frequencies. So, for example, ciphertext is suppose H L O O L E L W R D. So frequencies of 2 gram beginning with H is H is 0.0305 or HO is 0.0043, HL, HW, HR, HD. These are less than 0. HD is less than 0.0010. So it implies E follows H. So you can see arranged to the H and E are adjacent. So H, E, L, L, O, W, O, R, and L, D. So read off across then down to get original plain text. So it is hello world, H, E, L, L, O, W, O, R, L, D. Then substitution ciphers. So change characters in plain text to produce ciphertext. For example, Caesar cipher, the plain text is hello world, we already taken. So change each letter to the third letter following it, such that X goes to A and Y goes to B and J to C, like this. So key is 3, usually written as letter D. So ciphertext is KHOORZRUOG for hello world. Then taking the cipher, so exhaustive search is there. So if the key space is small enough, try all possible keys until you find the right one. So Session cipher has 26 possible keys, and statistical analysis were compared to 1 gram model of English. So the result were most probable keys based on psi, the correlation with expected frequency of letters in English. So I equal to 6. So psi I equal to 0.0660. So plain text is E bill TLOLA. So then I for equal to 10, psi I will become 0.0635, and the plain text will become AX EEH PH KEW. For I equal to 3, psi I's value is this, and the plain text will be hello world. So I equal to 14, psi I equal to 0.0535, and the plain text will be WTADLDGAS. So only English space is for I equal to 3. So that's the key. So 3 or D. Then Caesar problem, the key is too short and it can be found by exhaustive search. So statistical frequency is not concealed well. So make it longer, the multiple letters in key. So idea is to smooth the statistical frequencies to make crypt analysis harder. So then beginner cipher. It is like a Caesar cipher but uses a phrase. For example, the message is given like the boy has the ball. So the key is VIG. So encipher using Caesar cipher for each letter we write for the in the place of the we write VIG. Then on in the place of boy we write VIG. Then for in place of has we write VIG. Then in place of the we write VIG. Then in the place of ball we write VIG V. Again V. So VIG combinations of key will be there. So the plain text is the boy has the ball and the key is VIG. So VIG repeating in the plain text, and the cipher text will be OPKWWECIYOPKWIRG. So the relevant part or tableau, like you can see these columns. So tableau shown has relevant rows and columns only. So example of encipherments where key V and letter T follow V column down to T row and giving O. And in key I letter H, where the follow I column down to H and row giving the P in this column. So the established period where Kasky, where repetitions in the ciphertext occur when characters of the key appear over the same characters in the plain text. So for example, keys like this VIG, then V, and plain text is the boy has the ball. So ciphertext will be OPKWWECIYOPKWIRG, where you can see that the key and the plain text line up over the repetitions. So the underline word OPKW is repeated. You can see. So as distance between repetitions is 9. So after O, repeating O is at 9th position. So you can see the repetition is 9. So the period is a factor of 9, that is 1, 3 or 9. So for attacking the cipher, the approach is to establish the period and call it n, and break the message into n parts, and each part being enciphered using the same key letter. So solve each part, so you can leverage one part from another, and you can see in this next step. So the target cipher, we want to break this cipher. So this is the given cipher, ADQYS, then MIUSB, like this. So these the target cipher where we want to break this cipher. So the repetitions in example where the letters MI, then double O, you can see OE, QOG. So the start and distance and factors we calculate for each letters. So for MI, the start is 5 and end is 15. So the distance is 15 minus 5, 10. So the factors of 10 will be 2 and 5. And for O, the start is 22 and end is 27. So the distance is 27 minus 22 will be 5. And the factor is 5. So like this, the OE, QOG, where 24 is the start and 54 is the end. So the distance between the start and end is 54 minus 24 is 30. So the factors of 30 is 2, 3, 5. Then FV, for FV, that start is 39 and end is 63. The distance is 24, and the factors are for 2, 2, 2, 3, like this. So we calculate for these letters the start and distance and factors. So the estimate of period where OEQOG is probably not a coincidence. So it's too long for that. So period may be 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 10, 15 or 30. You can see in this. So most others 7 by 10 have 2 in their factors, and almost as many 6, 10 have 3 in their factors. So begin with period of 2 into 3 equals 6. So check on period. So index of coincidence is probability that two randomly chosen letters from ciphertext will be the same. So tabulated for different periods. So you can see the first one is 0.066, second one is 0.052, 3 is 0.047, 4 is 0.045, 5 is 0.044, 10 is 0.041, large is 0.038. So the splitting into alphabets. So the alphabet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we split it in 6 alphabets where ICs is we are giving the numbers has 1, has 2, has 3, has 4, has 5, has 6, and these all different periods 0 0.066, 0 0.052, and like this. So for these we have indicated all alphabets have period 1 except 4 and 6 assume statistics of. So you can see the frequency examination from A to Z where 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 alphabets. So letter frequencies are H is stands for high, M for medium, and L for low. So it will be written as H, M, 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 H, M, M, like this. So these are the various frequencies, letter frequencies. So then begin descriptions of first matches characteristics of unshifted alphabet, and third matches if first shifted to E, and 6 matches if fifth shifted to A. So substitute into ciphertext, the bold are substitutions like A, D, I, Y, S. So A and I are bold, and R, I, U, K, B. So R, I, K is the ciphertext. So then O, C, K, K, L. So the bold is C, K, L. So we can do substitute into the ciphertext, and bold are the substitutions. So look for clues. A, J, E in the last line suggest our meaning. Second alphabet maps A into S. So A, L, I, Y, S, then R, I, C, K, B, then O, C, K, S, L, like this. So next alphabet MICAX in last line suggests MICAL, where it is a common ending for an adjective, and meaning fourth alphabet maps O into A. So these are the A, L, I, M, S, then Rick, P, then CKSL, OCKSL, CKSL is more than AIGHS, like this. So QI means that I maps into U, as Q is always followed by U. So this becomes ALIME and RIC-P and ACKSL, like this. So one time paid where a beginner cipher with a random key at least as long as the message, and it is probably unbreakable. So look at ciphertext DXQ are equally likely to correspond to plaintext DOIT. So where key is AJIY. You can see in this. So the plaintext equally likely to correspond to plaintext DOIT, where key is AJY, and the plaintext DONT, don't. So key AJDY and any other 4 letters. So keys must be random, or you can attack the cipher by trying to regenerate the key. So approximations such as using pseudo-random numbers and generators to generate keys are not random. So then the DES, so where a block cipher encrypts block of 64 bits using a 64-bit key and outputs 64 bits of ciphertext. So a product cipher is there, and the basic unit is the bit, and performs both substitution and transposition permutation on the bits. So cipher consists of 16 rounds iterations, each with a round key generated from the user supplied key. So the generation of round keys, where the round keys are 48 bits each. So key PC1, then C0 to C0, D0. So cipher LSH, LSH, and then C1, D1. So PC2, we are obtaining key 1 like this, PC2 up to key K16. So encipherment, where the input given to the IP, then L0, R0, then V L1 equals R0, and then R1 equals L0, R0, K1, like this. So we finally put this output, and the F function where are 32 bits and KI is 48 bits. So encryption and the 48 bits where S1, S2, S3, S4, S5, F6, S7, and S8. So 6 bits into each and 4 bits out of each. So P becomes 32 bit. So the controversy is there, means considered it is too weak. So Diffie-Hellman said in a few years technology would allow DES to be broken in days and design applications not public. Then undesirable properties where 4 weak keys are there. So they are their own inverses, and 12 semi-weak keys where each has another semi-weak key as inverse, and complementary property where DES KM equal to C tends to DES KM equal to C days. So S boxes exhibit irregular properties and distribution of odd even numbers non-random, and it outputs of 4th box depends on input to 3rd box. Then differential cryptanalysis, where a chosen ciphertext attack requires 2:47 plain text and ciphertext pairs. So revealed several properties. Small changes in S boxes reduce the number of pairs needed, and making every bit of the round keys independent does not impede attack. So linear cryptanalysis improves results, so requires 2:43 plain text and ciphertext pairs. So these modes, so in DES there are these modes: electronic code book mode, ECB, where encipher each block independently, and cipher block chaining mode, CBC, where XOR each block with previous ciphertext block and requires an initialization vector for the first one. So encrypt decrypt encrypt mode, where 2 keys K and K days, where C equal to DESK -1 and DSK M. So encrypt encrypt and encrypt encrypt mode. So there 3 keys are there: K days and K double days. So C equals DSK days and DSK double days M, like this. So the current status, where the design of for computer system associated software that could break any DES enciphered message in a few days. It is published in 1998, and several challenges to break these messages solved using distributed computing. So NIST selected this Regendel as Advanced Encryption Standard, AES, the successor of DES, where it is designed to withstand attacks that were successful on DES. So in this, the public key cryptography, where two keys are there, private key known only to the individual and public key available to anyone. So public key, private key inverses. So the idea is the confidentiality, where encipher using public key and decipher using private key, or integrity authentication, like encipher using private key and decipher using public one. So the requirement, what are the requirements? So it must be computationally easy to encipher or decipher a message given the appropriate key. And it must be computationally infeasible to derive the private key from the public key, and it must be computationally infeasible to determine the private key from a chosen plain text vector. So in Diffie-Hellman, the compute a common as shared key, it is called a symmetric key exchange protocol. And based on the discrete algorithm problem, where given integers n and g and prime numbers p, compute k such that n equal to gs to k mod p. So the solutions known for small p and solutions computationally infeasible as p grows large. So the algorithm where the constants prime p, integer g is not equal to 0, 1, and p minus 1, so known to all participants, and na chooses the private key where kna computes the public key kna where g is to kna mod p. And to communicate with Bob, na computes k shared k Bob is to kna and mod p. So to communicate with na, Bob computes k shared kna is to k Bob mod p. So it can be shown these keys are equal. So for example, n equal to gs to k mod p, assume p equal to 53 and g equal to 17. And suppose Li chooses k Li is equal to 5. Then k Li is 17 as to 5 mod 53 becomes, gives result 40. And Bob chooses k Bob equal to 7. So then k Bob equal to 17 as to 7 mod 53 gives 6. So the shared key is k Bob k Li is mod p equal to 6 as to 5 mod 53 equals 38, and k Li is k is to Bob k Li is to k Bob mod p equal to 40 as to 7 mod 53 equals 38. Then RSA in this exponential cipher is there, and it relies on the difficulty of determining the number of numbers relatively prime to a large integer n. So the total function phi n is there. So number of positive integers less than n and relatively prime to n. So relatively prime means with no factors in common with n. So for example, phi 10 equals 4. So 1, 3, 7, 9 are relatively prime to 10. And in 5 as to 21 equals 12, where 1, 2, 4, 5, 8, 10, 11, 13, 16, 17, 19, 20 are relatively prime to 21. So algorithm where you can see first choose two large prime numbers p and q, and let n equal to pq. Then phi n equals p minus 1 q minus 1 product of p minus 1 and q minus 1. So choose E is less than n such that E relatively prime to phi n, and compute D such that ED mod phi n equals 1. So public key En is and private key is D. So encipher C equal to M is to E mod n, and decipher for decipher M equal to C is to D mod n. So for example, confidentiality, take P equal to 7, Q equal to 11, so n equal to 77, and phi n equals 60. So Li chooses E equal to 17 and making D equal to 53. So Bob wants to send Li secret message hello. Then it will like this 07 as to 17 mod 77 equal to 28. Then 04 is to 17 mod 77 equal to 16. 11 is to 17 mod 77 equal to 44, and like this. And 14 is to 17. 11 same, 11 is to 17 mod 77 equal to 44, and 14 is to 17 mod 77 equal to 42. So the Bob sends 28, 16, 44, 44, 42. Then Li receives these 28, 16, 44, 44, 42. So Li uses a private key. So D equal to 53 to decrypt message. So 28 is to 53 mod 77 equal to 07, and 16 is to 53 mod 77 equal to 04. Then 44 is to 53 mod 77 equal to 11. Then 44 is to 53 mod 77 equal to 11. Then 42 is to 53 mod 77 equal to 40. So Elias translates message to letters to read hello. So no one else could read it, as only Elias knows her private key, and that is needed for decryption. So this is another example of integrity, authenticity. So for this, take P equal to 7, Q equal to 11, so N equal to 77 and 5N is 60. So Elias chooses 77, E equal to 77 and making D equal to 53. So Elias wants to send Bob message hello with this 07, 04, 11, 11, 14. So Bob knows it is what Elias sent. So no changes in transit and authenticated. So 7 is 07 is to 53 mod 77 equal to 35, then 04 is to 53 mod 77 equal to 09, 11 is to 53 mod 77 equal to 44, 11 is to 53 mod 77 equal to 44, 14 is to 53 mod 77 equal to 49. So Li sends this 35, 09, 44, 44 and 49. So Bob receives this message, and Bob uses Li's public key ES to 79 equal to 77 to decrypt the message like this. 35 is to 17 mod 77 equal to 07. Then Bob translate message to letters to read hello. So Eli sent it as only she knows her private key, so no one else could have encrypted it. If enciphered message blocks letters altered in transit, would not decrypt properly. So for both, Eli's want to send Bob message hello, both enciphered and authenticated and integrity check. So Eli's key is public 1777 and private is 53, and Bob's key is public 77 and private is 30. So Eli's enciphers hello this message 0704 11 11 14. So first the private key, so 07 is to 53 mod 77 is to 37, mod 77 equal to 07. So like this Li send 07 37 44 44 and 40. Then these security services confidentiality and authentication. So in confidentiality, only the owner of the private key knows it. So text enciphered with public key cannot be read by anyone except the owner of the private key, as we see in the Elias Bob case. Then authentication, where only the author of the private key knows it. So text enciphered with private key must have been generated by the owner. And more security services like integrity and non-repudiation. So in integrity, the enciphered letters cannot be changed undetectability without knowing private key. And for messages enciphered with private key came from someone who knew it. So non-repudiation is there. Then encipher message in blocks considerably larger than the examples here. So if one character per block, then RSA can broken using statistical attacks, just like classical crypto systems. An attacker cannot alter letters, but can rearrange them and alter message meaning. So, for example, reverse enciphered message of text on to get no. This is reverse. Then cryptographic checksums. So the mathematical function to generate a set of k bits from a set of n bits where k is less than equal to n. So k is smaller than n except in unusual circumstances. So for example, ASCII parity bit where ASCII has 7 bits and nth bit is parity. So even parity, for even parity, even number of 1 bits, and odd parity, odd number of 1 bits. So for example, Bob receives 10111101 has bits. So sender is using even parity. So 6 1 bits are there, 4 in middle and 1 is in left side and 1 is in right side. So character was received correctly, but could not be grabbled, but 2 bits would need to have been changed to preserve parity. So sender is using odd parity and even number of 1 bits. So character was not received correctly. So the cryptographic checksum function where H is such that A tends to B. So there are these steps. For first step, for any x belongs to A, where hx is easy to compute, and for any y belongs to B, it is computationally infeasible to find x belongs A such that hx equal to y. So it is computationally infeasible to find x, and x days belongs A such that x is not equal to x days and hx is equal to hx days. So alternative from stronger, given any x belongs to A, it is computationally infeasible to find a different x days belongs A such that hx equal to hx days. So if x is not equal to x days and hx equal to hx days, so x and x days are a collision. So the pigeonhole principle, it indicates if there are n containers for n plus 1 objects, then at least one container will have two objects in it. So key is where the keyed cryptographic checksum requires cryptographic key DES in chaining mode. So encipher message use last n bits and requires a key to encipher. So it is a keyed cryptographic checksum. So keyless cryptographic checksum requires no cryptographic keys, like MD5 and SHA1 are the best known, and others include MD4, HAVL, and SNEFRU, like this. So HMAC where make keyed cryptographic checksums from keyless cryptographic checksums, and it is useful for distribution to countries that prohibit keyed cryptography. So there are two main types of crypto systems, the classical and public key. And the classical crypto systems encipher and decipher using the same key, or one key easily derived from the other. For public key crypto systems, encipher and decipher using different keys and computationally infeasible to derive one from the other. And cryptographic checksums provide a check on integrity. So these are the key points we discussed. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pankaj. A very technical presentation, but you broke it down for us to help us to understand how the mathematical and statistical attacks can be addressed using the algorithms. We'll now open the floor to any questions. You may type in the chat or raise your hand and I'll allow you to speak in the mic. Okay, I'm not seeing any questions in the chat. Just one small question, Dr. Pankaj. Between the mathematical and statistical attacks, which happen more regularly and which is more difficult to address in those two types of attacks?
Which one?
You said you have two major types of attacks. This would be the mathematical and the statistical attacks. Which of those attacks are more frequent and how difficult are they to address?
So in mathematical attack, there this is more complex, and if you know the psi n and the public key, the modules n and the encryption exponent n, then we can determine d, because we describe the integer factoring attacks and attacks on the underlying mathematical function, as well as attacks that exploits detail in implementations. So the factoring very large numbers, and the attack is like in RSA public key, and getting the factorization, an attacker can easily construct. So by extending the sum of squares of prime to factorize a semi-prime by antinomy and or Morse, so the mathematical attacks are more complicated.
Okay, so thank you for pointing that out for us. And we will now move to the next presentation because time is upon us. And so I'll ask Dr. Noor, you can go ahead and upload your presentation while I introduce you. Professor Noor is at the School of Computer Science, Faculty of Engineering and Technology, Taylor's University, Malaysia. And he wears several hats. He has more than 23 years of experience in academics, research, and the IT industry. And he has held management positions such as Associate Professor, Director of the CSS5, I think that's a Smart Society. He's the Cluster Head for Cybersecurity and the Dean's Coordinator and Head of IT at his university. He is rated as in the top 2 scientists for 2 consecutive years, 2022 and 2023, that is the World Scientist. And he was awarded the Vice Chancellor's Award at Taylor's University for the most cited researcher in 2023. His publications are over 550 international journals, and he is also recognized for his publications in various high-profile, over 200 plus high-profile journals, high index impact factor. So we are pleased to have Professor Noor as we come to the last presentation. I take great pleasure in inviting him to make his presentation on cryptography in the digital age, challenges and innovations.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Prof, for the introduction. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are quite audible and we can see your presentation.
And that's very great. Thank you. Thank you very much once again. Okay, first of all, I really appreciate to my colleagues who presented for the sessions respective to the cyber and the cryptography. Cryptography is very important, and it is crucially important not only for nowadays, but it was crucially important even in very early times as well. Beside of that, we know that there are a lot of the different algorithms. There are a lot of approaches, as our colleagues discussed, that they are working in practice as well. Beside of that, still we are facing a lot of challenges, and a lot of the breaches are happening, including for the NASA, including for the LinkedIn, including for Rexon, and including for any of the company or any of the giant venture. If we just name it, we can find it out that data leakage and data breakage is there. So with this presentation, what we are going to focus about, that is about the cryptography in a digital age, because we are living now in a digital age where we are moving completely towards the digital data. If we just go back for the 20 years, then I believe that before the smartphones were in our hands, so the data size, what it is available now at the clouds, that was much lesser than even our imaginations. And if we just go back for the 20 more years, then we can realize that possibly very less amount of the data, maybe the less than a 1% or 2% max the data, but it is available online now and available with the clouds now, that was only available by any of the organizations in public sectors. They were keeping the data for the different purposes. So this is a realization that we are now moving very fast, and our each and every data is actually going towards the digital world, and we are digitalizing ourselves. Now we are completely digitalized. We are not using any of the devices what we were using in our past. We are even now avoiding to use or keep our wallets as well with us. We can do everything with our cell phones, even our financial transactions, even our sale and purchase, and even anything that can be done with digitally. So we are far away from the past what it was, and all of the things required actually two things. Number one is that the digital availability, and the other thing is that the digital security, because if we lost that, yeah, please.
Yeah, Prof. Noor, sorry for the interruption. Could we ask you to share your slides? We are still seeing your first slide.
Yes, Prof, you're right. I'm still on the first slide. I'm just giving the intro.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
okay. No, sorry about that.
No, it's okay. So we have to realize that actually while we're moving towards these means a huge data, digital data, then at that time we need secure data as well. If we will not have a secure data, that will lead the mistrust and that will lead everything. So for today's our presentation, after this intro, we will be discussing about a quick look about the cryptography, about its need and what are the breakage or leakage they will happen. And as we mentioned about this is for the digital age, so we need to learn that how much amount of the data, what we were saying right now, it is there and what we are expecting for the upcoming 5 to 10 years. And beside of that, we need to see that how much we are prepared and what are the new forms of the cryptography that are waiting for us, as well as we need to see that what are the future research perspectives as well. So we need to see that what are the research perspectives and research areas where the cryptography we can be focusing for the upcoming years. So we will have a direction about from the research perspective that means because it is our very essential need as well. So here we go. Like for the intro, I already brief about the contents that what we are going through, and for the few of them, we will be just not stopping much, or just knowing and having just to make a flow of the presentation. And for the few of the points where they are very critical, that we will be focusing a lot. So what we were discussing about that we are going towards the a very global data, global age, or digitalization. So this is very much evident if suppose we see from this slide. So this data is actually in zettabyte, and that one of the zettabyte is for the 1 billion terabytes of the data. So as what I mentioned, that if suppose we go just for the 20 years before the cell phone or the smartphones were in our hands, especially not the cell phone, but the smartphones. So that was I believe the smartphones were in our hands like by the 2006 or 5 and by the 2007, it was very common and everywhere available. So this first data, you can see that this is actually for 2010. And how much is the data? It is only the 2. And then we are increasing our data. This is what we are increasing our data. We are increasing, moving towards the digital era. So this is how this is very faster. So from this only the 3 years, this is 33, and 2020, this is now we can see the huge difference, and we are expecting 175 zettabyte of data. By 2030, it will be means more than 2 times to 3 times 612. But you can imagine that where we will be standing by 2035. That will be a huge data which will be available and will be completely in a digital world. We will not having anything which is not digitalized. And means I can say that we will be in the world of the metaverse as well, which is actually a very parallel virtual world for us as well. So a lot of our data will be online, and that is actually the challenging time. That is the time we need to plan right from now, that either we are ready for that, especially from the perspective of the the cryptography, and especially from the perspective that how we would be able to secure data. Now, if we just imagine currently that where we stand, and even you can see from here, this is the statistical data from 2005 to 2020 and 2020. So this is just only a data for the last few decades. So you can imagine from here, from the 1960 to 1970, the mainframe and centralized computers, they were only the 10 million users were there. Only 10 million users. At that time, it was a very sufficient number. But if suppose we look for now, this is very less number. So it is increased by the 2 billion users by the 2000. So we can say by 1980 to 2000. So now you just imagine that where we are going, and once we reach to the 2020, it is 7 billion users are there. So we are expecting that this number will be increasing very much, because a lot of the applications, they are going online. Not only like suppose we are focusing that what are the finance applications, but we are moving from every direction. We talk about the society 5.0, we're moving towards the online, our financial transactions, our what we already mentioned, we are moving towards there. Our healthcare, we're moving with the healthcare 5.0. Our industrial revolution, we are moving towards industrial revolution 5.0. Our everything, even from each and every aspect, we are moving towards the digitalization. So the next years are the completely digitalization or digital edge. So in this point of view, even we are moving toward the automated vehicles, we are moving toward the automated transportation, logistic, everything is going towards there. So that cannot be continued without the data. And again, the big question is here that related to the cryptography. And as what we mentioned, that cryptography is actually the way which can help us to save our data, that how we want to send our data, the data should be reached safely to the destination by following the principle of the security, which is the CIA. So the volume of the data created and captured, replicated, keep growing very fast instant, like what we just had one of the slide that by 2035, how far we will be reaching there. So data in different format, the small data and a big data and a real-time data, the more data anywhere. So there are a lot of different formats of the data, and every format of the data is actually required the safety and security. So the crypto is playing a very important role. Even now we are using, not now, but we are using the data for the storage purpose. Again, we need the crypto. Mainly when we talk about the cryptography, the people, they have a thought that the cryptography is mainly we are using while the data is on a move, while the data is in a communication, while we are transferring the data from one to the other. So we are either using this symmetric approach or asymmetric approach or any sort of approach. So it is on the move, while the Alice and Bob and Alice means this is our primary concept. But no, we are using this at every state, at every field. So it's very important. It's very important. So that's what we mentioned here, that it means the different forms of the data. And now to respect the time, we will just go a bit faster. So the data age by the 2025, that is known as the data sphere and the data readiness from the edge to the core. So these are the upcoming challenges, the future challenges. So we need to see that either we are ready for that or not. Sorry. So we can see from here that the data breaches are happening. This is a regular news. And we can say that how much we are knowing, that is actually not the data breach. But a lot of the things we are not knowing, that is actually data breach. So the point what we are knowing, that is only we are bringing them as a case studies. But there are a lot of the data breaches which are not known until it is going to be leaked. So you can see from here we are just providing some of the details that how much it's happened. So one of the cases from the Malaysia as well, and that was the data was being compromised for the 10 years, and then a lot of the different countries and a lot of the countries as well. So you can see that these were become very highlighted news in the newspapers and everywhere. So this is actually to realize that this is actually a challenge. So whatever the current algorithms or approaches are ways what we are using, or we are managing our passwords or the data on move, that is good enough. That's good, but it's not a good enough. We need to think further about that. So we know that about the cryptography. So as I mentioned it for the few slides, probably I can just skip, which are the basics, and just to give the understanding about the cryptography, because we already discussed about that. So we will go for the core points that what are the research directions. So we can see the crypto is in everywhere, in every news stories, if we just look for this. So I'm just focusing or highlighting about the dates. So this is a very important and hot issue. So hot issue is from a different perspective, that what we are using about the crypto security and how we are using and what existing algorithms or methods we are applying. Like our friends, they were explaining about that. But do we think that they are sufficient enough? If they are sufficient enough, then we cannot find this much information. If they are sufficient enough, these challenges we are facing right at this moment. So this moment, if suppose you allow me, I just take you back for a while. So this moment we are still less than 175 zettabyte of data. So what will happen in the next 5 years, and what will be happen in the 2035? So this is a very challenging, very open area, and means a lot of the research issues and research problems are there. We need to think that how we are able to improve that. We do understand that what we have, but we need to do a lot from this particular direction. So this is one of the example that one of the lady, if suppose you want to order for any of the product, In this case, he's trying to order for one of the iPhone because she saw that there is a 50% discount. But what happened later, she knows that a lot of the money was gone from her account. And then later only she realized that she was not using the secure web, and she was only using the HTTP. This is only the very simple example to for understanding. So this is actually the not secure. Now, if suppose it is if the a lot of the money has gone from the customer account, if the customer is feeling the pain for sure. So what happened? What is the loss other than the amount what the customer lost? The main loss is actually about the trust. The customer will not be having a trust on online transactions. Most of the customers, they don't know that we are using what this is. We are using either it's applied the SSL or TLS or HTTPS or any other layers are there or not. They are only knowing that they are doing the transactions online. And if suppose you're not receiving successful, because most of the users, they are not educated in terms of the internet, and in terms of the technicalities. So they will lose their trust. If they are losing their trust, then we can understand that where we all stand. So this is a lot of the challenging part where we are supposed to address. So we need the cryptography. It is a very important, to maintain our CIA, confidentiality, integrity, and availability. This is not, as what we mentioned already, this is not important for us in this, that we are talking about the digital era. We're talking about digitalization, but this is important in our future as well. It was important in our past as well. So I just try to show quickly the few of the examples that we are using. Even the crypto, it was our need from the BC, 400 BC and even before. So this is actually the timeline for the cryptography when we talk about. So for sure, what the approaches we were using in a BC, those approaches completely different what we are using nowadays, like AES and ECC or SHA or Bitcoin or RSA, whatever we are using, that means hashing or blockchain or whatever we're using, that was not there. So at that time, because of the need or the data or everything was different. Nowadays it is different. So that need actually we are increasing with approaches like what we are going with our requirements. So this is still, we are in 2021, 22 or 23. So we need to think about it, where we will be standing by 2035. That is a challenging approach for us, where everything will be completely on that. So we can see from the history. So you don't want to go for the history that we know about these things, is how the cryptography was started, but we just included this few of the information to realize that the cryptographic approach, the security, to transfer the data, to keep the trust on the system, it is not the new need. It's not the need because we are using digitalization, but it was a need even before. It was a need, and it is a need of a human at all the time, that we need to do everything, every transaction in a safer and secure way. So we can see that we can find out a lot of the cryptographic even from the very ancient Egyptian civilization as well. So they changed their approach, not like that what we mentioned or what we are using right now. So it exists in every time, and it will exist in everywhere. So this is the important thing. So it gives us a strong message that without this, we cannot be able to do any transaction. And when we are thinking about the digitalization, complete digitalization, then it means that we need to have very sophisticated methods, very sophisticated ways, like we do have now. We need to think outside the box for how we can be able to address the challenges of the future. So just passing on from the history of the cryptography, like suppose now we just talk about the like once we reach 1976, then we come up with the data encryption standards, or DES or RSA or AES, which are still common. Still we are using them. The PGP, what we are using is still for the emails and other things. So a lot of the things they reformed with the time, with the age. But at this moment where we stand, so the researchers believe that these things where we stand right now, but do we have the existing methods? They all need refinement. They all need, we need to think outside the box, and we need to come up with very different approaches as well. So we need to maintain about CIA, like suppose the confidentiality, integrity, and the authentication. So these things are very important. So why it is important, we already discussed about that. We need to protect the personal and financial data. So now we understand that everything, every personal data and financial data is not like before the 10 years. Now everyone's data is now in digital age and digitalized. It is available on the clouds. So we need to foster the trust. If we will be failed from this perspective, then means that people will lose the trust. And if suppose people will lose the trust, then we cannot see the dream of digitalization. We cannot see the dream of digital transactions. So everything will be reverse to the zero. So we need to enable the users authenticate and the source of information. We need to confirm and everything that is going well. And we need to make essential that the secure transactions are being the users are able, they are doing, including for their e-commerce, for their banking transactions, or for any of the transactions. So we are well aware, like suppose that the people are moving slowly to the complete digitalization. So common practice, I believe that this practice is all over the world. Here in Malaysia, now even suppose we, as I mentioned, that we are not supposed to keep the wallet in our pocket, and every digital currency or digital mode is accepted everywhere. Even if suppose you want to withdraw the money from your ATM, so again you can use your mobile app and you can scan the barcode and you can be able to take the money out. So even you don't require now the plastic cards, the ATM cards like what we are using. So we believe that this is the direction that we are moving. But what happened in case if suppose there will be breaches, there will be no security, there will be no proper mechanism. Then when the data is being sent from alias to Bob, like suppose from us to the ATM machine and from ATM machine back to us, and it is just going to be hacked. And most of the transactions, most of the data is online. And online itself, it has another level of the challenge to manage the security. So anyhow, coming back, so we need to be careful about financial activities, and we need to safeguard the data breaches, identify the theft, and not only to identify, but we need to protect. We need to protect it, means these type of the things may not be happening. So the correctness of the national security strategies and protecting everything, this is very critical. Like what I mentioned, that here the government is paying a lot of focus to use the digital currency. So it is a very common, even you are using for even a few cents, or you are using in thousands. So you will not find the cash currency in most of the time in the pocket, because people, they don't use that most of the time. Wherever you want to go, even if it is small place or the huge place, you can be able to use different applications from your mobile. And also the government here, they are working a lot to come up with the cyber laws, to come up with the cyber bill. Cyber laws every country has, but now they're coming with a cyber bill, that how they can be able to secure all of these transactions, especially the financial transactions, which are the online for the customers, so the user may keep their trust at the same level, and they can increase, and they can be able to go back away from the paper currency, and also from plastic currency as well. So again, these all things are very important, as what we discussed, that require the strong security and the strong cryptography. So these are the things, like suppose if we think about the digital certificates, we need the confidentiality, authentication, integration, non-repudiation. So probably I'm not repeating this, because these are the a few of the things which are very common, and any person who belongs to security, they know about that. So we understand about that. We just keep it in a flow that means for a better understanding. So we understand that what are the objectives of the cryptography, that we can be able to maintain the confidentiality, data integrity, authenticity, and also to avoid the repudiation. Sorry. So there are a lot of attacks, which attacks are mainly focusing to the cryptography. So we classify these attacks into the three different groups. Number one is the ciphertext only attacks, which is known as the COA. The other attacks are known as the KPA, which is the known plain text attacks, and at the same time, the CPA, which is actually chosen plain text attack. So we know about this, that how it is being happening, and it's a very common. So these attacks are common attacks which are launched against the cryptography. And a lot of the successful stories, I mean, are successful in a way that the hackers, they are getting successful, they are able to, breach that. So in the upcoming slides, we can see that what are the breaches and what are the different examples are there. So we can see about the summary of the cryptography algorithms, like what we discussed, that there are the symmetric approaches, there are the asymmetric approaches, there are the hash approaches, and then we can see that the DES, 3DES, ES. So we just try to keep it up the more important, which are very much being used approaches for the wireless and the wire medium as well, and for the asymmetric approaches like RSA, ACC, and a lot of the different one, and then we classify them for what purpose we are using, for encryption, for digital signature, or for the hash function, or for the key distribution as well. So we do understand that we use the public and private key, and we use the if we are using the symmetric approach, then we are using only the one key, the prime key. So anyhow, coming ahead, and we can see that what is the foundation of the cryptography, that it is actually trying to convert our plain text into the ciphertext, whatever the mechanism, like our friends also discussed the different approaches, are what the approaches we just mentioned from this the slide. So we are just trying to apply the different ways as when we are ready to transfer the text from one source to destination. So it may not be in the same format in case if suppose it is going to be captured by anyone, so they may not be able to get it back. But the current scenario, the current situation is that it is still very much possible, and a lot of the breaches are there as well. So we can see from here that there is a long history, a long list of the, a lot of the leakage are there, breaches are there, compromises are there. So we can see that the Chinese military behind the South China Sea cyber attacks as well, and we can see from a lot of the different, because it's a time is very, very short, 30 minutes. So respecting to the time when it's going faster, maybe to some time other time, we can even be able to see that what are the live attacks that are happening at this moment. So a lot of the cyber attacks, which are cryptographic attacks, which are happening throughout the world, that can be monitored in the runtime. So that can give us a basic idea that what type of what sort of the challenges we are facing at this moment. So there are a lot of the different threats like what we mentioned. So you can see from here, these are the lists of the attacks, and including about the cryptography, and most of these attacks are based or because of the cryptography. So these are the failure, cryptographic failures. So you can see from here, number one is about the cracking unsalted password, hashing using rainbow tables. We know that a lot of the different softwares and tools are available. They can quickly break the passwords. We feel that the password is good enough, and we know as a technical guy that we only consider the word somewhat that the password is safer. That password must have at least 16 characters. But we know that it's not easy for the users to keep in mind, to remember that long password. So everyone, we are enforcing that at least 8 characters password should be there, and then there should be the different combinations there. So even the 16 character, what we are saying, that we are saying it is comparatively secure, but it's not 100% secure, like what we are mentioning here. So a lot of the failures are here. So automated database encryption and decryption. So as we discussed it, we are using the cryptography to store the data, especially we are storing the data while at the cloud and the databases. So we store in the cryptographic form. But again, you can find out a lot of the details are given here, that is also not secure. So we can see there are a lot of the examples of the failures. So lack of the TLS encryption as well. In case if it is not, so then again, we are facing a lot of problems with the websites. We are facing a lot of issues with the websites. Most of the attacks, most of the leakage, they are happening through the website as well. So insecure password management. So I'm just trying to pinpoint what are the main core areas where a lot of challenges based on the cryptographic approach. So you can find out here the further details, and you can see that how much the loss the countries and companies they are facing, And you can see that in every year you will find, even with the US Department. So it is not a point that we can say that only those countries who are not advanced in technology, are those companies who are not advanced, are those who are not sophisticated. No, everyone is on the target. So you can find out from everywhere, and every year you will find out a lot of the data that is being compromised, that is being leaked as well. So you can see from here, from the examples from the UK mobiles, from the Swedish company, from the USA, for the Ericsson company as well. So this is the Ericsson data breach. So a lot of the content has been gone. So even you can see for the LinkedIn as well, which is the data breach, which is a very well-known social media, but it is so what we can understand from here, that none of them is actually, we can consider that they are safe. The reason is, even though whatever they are using, that does not matter. So the reason is the same like what we presented before, that now we are at an era where we need the refinement and advancement in these things. So what are the current trends in the cryptography research? So these are the points of trends where we need to work as we can come up for these possible solutions for the future. So we need from the key management, how when we are coming up with the key, so the current key management means a lot of the different approaches, but they are not at the level where we can say that it is completely 100% satisfied. So the cloud-based data security is also become another issue. So we need to look for this one. This area, this research area also need our attention. We need the HSM flexibility, encryption key loading, how we are loading that. And also we need about the contactless payment with the CPOC, like what we were discussing about that. The world is moving towards that particular direction. Data encryption, what is delivered via the service-oriented architecture, and tokenization. So these are the core areas that how we can improve them. How we can improve them, then whatever the approaches are, whatever the issues are there, so we can be able to address them. So this is for the future of the cryptography. We know about the quantum cryptography and the homomorphic cryptographic or encryption approaches. A lot of the researchers now working on that, and which is comparatively better, and the post-quantum cryptographic standards as well. So a lot of the approaches are there. The researcher, the scientists, they are working on that direction. But still, there are a lot of the gaps, a lot of the research gaps are there, a lot of the areas are there where we are supposed to work. So this is what we are supposed to highlight today. So we can see that what are the applications where the cryptography is importantly. We understand about the cybersecurity and cryptography, drug design and development, artificial intelligence. So these are the only few applications. Just to realize that this is required everywhere. So it is not, its scope is very big. So we need to be very well aware about that. So now what are the best practices? Because we are knowing that these are the issues. So just allow me a few minutes. I just discuss the couple of the best practices, and then we could be going to put in the position of conclude our today's talk. So the best practices in the cryptography are what that we need to manage the key life cycle management, like what we say that the area what we are. So we need to manage, look for that how we can be able to better manage. We need to algorithms and key sizes as well. We know that we are using a different bits, but we need to manage it, that how much we can use, how much it can be optimized, how much level it can be the good one, which cannot be, are having a very less amount of chances to be break. We need to secure the storage. The storage become a huge challenge nowadays. Like suppose most of the breaches, most of the hackers, they are targeting to the storage, and most of the data is stored on the cloud. So this is also, we need to be unsafe, and we need to manage the access control system as well. So we may not have any loophole or any of the breach from any of the particular part from where anyone can be able to reach us or breach our data. So we need to have the mechanism about the key rotation. We are using now in the current format, we are using the key sharing, but we need to see that how we can be able to use the key rotation concept that could be able to make more safer and more stronger. So we need to have the key backup and the recovery. So we do have the key backup as well, in case if suppose our key is going to be lost, then how we can be able to recover that one as well. So on top of that, we can see that the key revocation and termination as well. So in some cases, if suppose we know that it is about to happening or something, so maybe we can terminate the key as well. So these are the new what we can say the ideas, that the best practices that we can be able to do, and we need to do the audit of the logs. We are doing already, but we need to make it more refined as we can be able to find out the proper solutions. So thank you very much, and sorry for taking a few more minutes. And I must give the right to all of the references with the thanks, because most of the information is taken from the different resources, just to make this presentation very much updated and new, as we can understand it where we stand. So these are thanks to all of these references. Thank you very much, and with this we are done.
Thank you, Professor Noor. The time was well worth it. The topic is very relevant and it's new. So the repetition and the reinforcement was needed. So please, no apologies. We needed that, that raising of our awareness of the importance of cryptography as we move further into the digital age. So any questions now or comments for Professor Noor, please type them in the chat, or you can raise your hand and I will allow you to speak. Prof. Noor, yes, okay, we have a compliment from Irwin Harris. He says, your presentation was very clear and concise and explaining new era and upcoming technology standards. And of course, these standards are in the making, and I think very much needed, so that we can better secure our data online as we move into the digital age over the next 5 to 10 years. I was asking a brief question. In terms of training for cryptography, where do you start? Is there an associate degree? Is there a certificate? Must you have a master's level? Because it seems as a very technical area.
Right, Prof. This is very much needed to be for the core concepts for the undergraduate level and the specialization. Like, what do we have a specialization at our university as well? We do have the cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, and the AI, the data science. In the same way, we do have the specialization related to the cryptography, because students need to learn from the core level for all of the tricks and trends from the cryptography, and they need to know that how these things are working and what are the gaps, like what we pinpoint today. So later then for the research level, when the students going for the master's or PhD, so then they can start working and then how these gaps are supposed to be done for their thesis. So currently we do have the few students who are working. We are looking for a few of the gaps, what they pinpoint based on the literature. A few of the things we already added in our presentation as well. So this is how we need to work to enforce these techniques further. Thank you.
Sure. It seems as if there could be then a further specialization within cryptography as the field grows in the future. Do you think?
Yes, Prof. It is the need. That's what we were putting the emphasis. Because if we look from the cybersecurity specialization, so cybersecurity it become a very wide scope. So everything when we focus for any of the university degree programs, when they're offering for the cybersecurity, so they talk about so many things, including the cryptography, including the forensic, including a lot of the the things. So the scope is very wider. So now it need to be within the cybersecurity, we need to branch it out like suppose it how the students are supposed to go. So the cryptography is one of the most important, because the challenge is that we are very much weak, Prof, for the cryptographic approaches, especially for wireless medium. And the challenge is that in our right now and in our future upcoming applications, most of applications, the users are intended to use using their smart phones and the smart gadgets. And smartphone and smart gadgets, they all are using the wireless medium. So those even somewhat better cryptographic approaches, what do we have at the moment, we are unable to use them with the wireless medium because of the resources limitations. So this is means huge challenge for us for the future perspective. So this is the time that we need to think that how we could be able to keep our data and our community safe. Otherwise, if suppose for any of the new technology, when it appears, everybody can jump it up. But when they realize that it is not good for them, and if suppose once they lose the trust, Prof, then the things are going to the reverse direction. So this is very important to consider from this one. Yeah.
So thank you for highlighting that that need, so that we know as persons like myself preparing students for the world of work, where the priorities are at this point in the for the digital age. So we want to thank all our esteemed presenters, Professors Noor, Pankaj, Tamane, and Dr. Abirami, for sharing their expertise and experiences with us in helping us to better understand the need for cryptography, the innovations and the challenges that beset us now. We want to thank the participants for their questions. And we'd like to also give our thanks to Dr. Krishnan for coordinating this workshop. It has been my pleasure as chair, and we look forward to having you back to share further as we grow and learn in the field of cryptography. Over to you, Professor Omachandran.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Dr. Debra. Very nice of you for joining us and taking up this workshop, being concluded successfully.
You're welcome.
Thank you. We'll close the meeting now. Bye.
Bye-bye.